Wanshik's face appeared on the screen. His metallic features showed curiosity mixed with contempt. Jiwoo stood before the camera, her uniform perfectly straight, her expression calm despite the fear in her heart. "I reject your terms," she said clearly. "I will not surrender my people to you. But I offer something else. A challenge. Single combat. You and me, under the ancient laws of our ancestors. Winner decides humanity's future." Wanshik laughed. It was a cold, mechanical sound. "You challenge me. I am enhanced, stronger, faster, better than any natural human. You would die in seconds." "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "But you're afraid to try? Because deep down, you know that all your enhancements don't make you better. They just make you different. Prove me wrong, or admit you're too scared to fight one woman." The insult struck home. Wanshik's expression darkened. "Fine, I accept. But when I win, your colonies will serve me, and your friends will watch you die before they join them." "And when I win," Jiwoo replied, "you release your prisoners, you dismantle your weapons, and you answer for your crimes." The combat would take place in 3 days on a neutral moon. The fight would be broadcast across both human factions and throughout Federation space. Billions would watch. The fate of the galaxy hung on a single battle. Taemin tried to talk Jiwoo out of it. "This is suicide. He's right about his enhancements. You can't beat him in a straight fight." "I know," Jiwoo said quietly, "but this isn't about winning through strength. It's about showing everyone what humanity really means. Not power, not domination, but the courage to stand up for what's right, even when the odds are impossible." While Jiwoo prepared for combat, Taemin worked on a different plan. He began sending secret messages to members of the Directorate. Not threats or demands, just simple questions. Did they remember what it meant to be human? Did they remember compassion? Did they really want to become monsters? Some ignored him, but some responded. Some admitted they were tired. Tired of war. Tired of cruelty. Tired of being machines instead of people. Taemin offered them amnesty. A chance to come home. A chance to be human again. In their prison cell, Bora and Hyejin waited for their chance. They knew Jiwoo would fight for them, but they also knew they couldn't just sit and wait. When the guards came to move them before the fight, they were ready. Bora had loosened her chains over days of careful work. When the door opened, she struck fast. Hyejin used her massive strength to break through the weakened restraints. Together they fought their way toward the base's central systems. "The weapon," Bora panted as they ran. "We have to destroy the system killer. Even if Jiwoo wins, Wanshik's followers might use it anyway." They reached the weapons control room. Hyejin held off pursuing soldiers while Bora worked on the computer systems. She wasn't a tech expert, but she knew enough. She started overload sequences in the weapon's core. In 20 minutes, it would destroy itself. "Done," she said. "Now we run." On the neutral moon, a massive arena had been prepared. It was surrounded by ships from every faction. Humans from both colonies, Federation forces, even neutral species came to witness this moment. History was being made. Jiwoo stood at one end of the arena. She wore simple combat armor with no enhancements, just her skill and her courage. Across from her, Wanshik looked like a demon from nightmares. His body was covered in metallic plates. His muscles were enhanced with synthetic fibers. His eyes glowed with computer processors. "Begin," the neutral referee announced. Wanshik moved with inhuman speed. He was on Jiwoo in seconds, his enhanced fist aimed at her head. But she wasn't there. She had anticipated his move and rolled aside. His fist hit the ground, cracking the stone. They fought for what felt like hours. Wanshik had every advantage. He was faster, stronger, and could take hits that would kill a normal human. But Jiwoo had something he lacked. She could think, she could adapt, she could learn. Every time Wanshik attacked, Jiwoo studied his patterns. The enhancements made him powerful, but they also made him predictable. His moves were calculated by computers following optimal paths. Humans weren't optimal. Humans were creative. As she fought, Jiwoo spoke. Not to Wanshik, but to the cameras, to everyone watching. "Look at us. Look at what we've become. He chose power and lost his soul. I choose to remain human, with all our weaknesses and all our strengths. That's the real difference. That's the real choice every one of us must make." Wanshik struck her hard. She flew backward, blood streaming from a cut on her face. He stood over her, his voice filled with triumph. "You see? Natural humans are weak, inferior. My way is the only way forward. Jiwoo smiled through the pain. No, your way is the end of everything that makes us human. And I'll prove it. She had been waiting for this moment. One chick's enhancements ran on power systems. Complex, sophisticated, but ultimately just machines. And machines could be tricked. Jiwoo pulled out a small device from her armor. An electromagnetic pulse generator. You enhanced yourself to be better, she said. But you forgot the most important human trait. We adapt, we overcome, we survive. She triggered the device. An electromagnetic wave swept across the arena. One chick's enhancements sparked and failed. His super strength vanished. His speed disappeared. He was just a man again. A man who had forgotten how to fight without his machines. Jiwoo stood up slowly. She was hurt and exhausted, but she was still standing. One chick stumbled, his body no longer responding the way he expected. In 3 quick moves, Jiwoo had him on the ground, her knee on his chest. Yield, she said. One chick looked up at her with confused eyes. For the first time in centuries, he felt human emotions again. Fear, shame, regret. I yield, he whispered. The arena erupted in cheers. Humans and aliens alike celebrated, but Jiwoo didn't celebrate. She helped one chick stand up. It's not too late, she said quietly. You can choose to be human again, to remember what we really are. News came that Bora and Hyejin had escaped and destroyed the system killer. Across Directorate space, many soldiers chose to surrender. They were tired of war, tired of being monsters. Taemin's messages had reached them. They wanted to come home. One chick chose exile on a remote world. He couldn't face the people he'd hurt, but he also couldn't face death. He would spend the rest of his life thinking about what he'd become and what he'd lost. 3 months later, a great ceremony was held. The Galactic Council formally invited humanity to rejoin the Federation, not as subjects or as rulers, but as equal partners. Jiwoo accepted on behalf of all human colonies. We return not in triumph, but in hope, she said. We've been gone for 10,000 years. In that time, we learned that hiding isn't living, that watching isn't helping, that being safe isn't the same as being alive. We're ready to stand with you, to learn from you, to face the future together. Kyung-soo stood and bowed deeply. The Federation welcomes humanity home. We have much to learn from each other. Hyejin announced the creation of a joint military academy. Human and alien warriors would train together, learning from each other's strengths. Bora was appointed as one of the first instructors. Taemin began programs to help former Directorate members reintegrate into peaceful society. It was slow work teaching people to be human again, but he was patient. He believed everyone deserved a second chance. Dae-ho, the merchant captain who started it all, found himself famous. He traveled between human and Federation worlds carrying goods and stories. He became a symbol of unity, proof that understanding could bridge any gap. 6 months after the ceremony, Jiwoo stood on Earth. The planet had been hidden in a pocket dimension all this time, preserved and waiting. Now humans could return home. She stood on a cliff overlooking an ocean. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Beside her stood representatives from dozens of species. They had come to see humanity's birthplace, to understand where the legends came from. It's beautiful, Kyung-soo said quietly. I understand now why you fought so hard to survive. This world raised remarkable people. The world didn't make us remarkable, Jiwoo replied. We made ourselves. By choosing. Every day we chose to be kind when we could be cruel, to help when we could ignore, to hope when despair was easier. That's what makes anyone remarkable. Not where they come from, but what they choose to do. Hyejin laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound. You humans. Always so philosophical. Come, let's go celebrate. I want to try this thing you call pizza. They walked together down the cliff path, humans and aliens side by side. Above them, stars began to appear in the darkening sky. The same stars that had watched humanity struggle and survive and finally come home. The legends were real. But they were never about superhuman powers or unstoppable weapons. They were about ordinary people who refused to give up, who chose to be better, who proved that the strongest force in the universe wasn't technology or enhancement or power. It was hope, and hope, it turned out, was the most human thing of all. Captain Dae-ho stared at the flashing red lights on his ship's control panel. His 4 hands moved quickly across the buttons, but nothing worked. The engine was dead. Smoke filled the small bridge of his cargo ship, the steady horizon. He coughed and tried to breathe through his scaled snout. Not good. Not good at all, he muttered in his native language. His crew of 6 looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. They were all Vrelni, a reptilian species known across the galaxy for being patient and careful. But right now, nobody felt patient. They were going to die in the middle of empty space. The cargo ship had been carrying medicine to a colony 3 systems away. It was supposed to be a simple job. Just jump through space, deliver the goods, get paid, and go home. But then the jump drive made a strange noise. Something went wrong. Very wrong. "Captain, the drive is pulling us somewhere," his navigator said. Her voice shook with fear. "I can't stop it." Before Deho could respond, space itself seemed to tear open in front of them. A swirling hole appeared, glowing with strange blue light. The ship lurched forward and was pulled inside. Everyone screamed. Then everything went black. When Deho opened his eyes, his ship was floating in normal space again. But something was different. The stars looked wrong. His computer couldn't recognize any of them. They were somewhere completely unknown. "Where are we?" the navigator whispered. "I don't know," Deho said. "Run a scan. Find out what's around us." The ship's sensors came back online. What they found made everyone's blood run cold. There was a massive station nearby, bigger than anything Deho had ever seen. It was hidden behind some kind of energy field that made it nearly invisible. The technology readings were off the charts, but that wasn't the scary part. The scary part was what the computer said about the technology signatures. They matched only one thing in the entire galactic database, something that shouldn't exist anymore. "Humans," the computer said in its flat voice. "Technology matches ancient human patterns. Probability 98%. Everyone on the bridge froze. Humans were supposed to be extinct. They had been gone for 10,000 years. Every child in the galaxy grew up hearing stories about them. The legendary warriors who could survive anything. The brilliant minds who invented things other species couldn't imagine. The terrifying soldiers who never lost a battle. Most people thought humans were just myths, scary stories to teach children to be careful. But Deho's grandmother used to tell him the old tales. She swore they were real. She said humans weren't just strong or smart. They were stubborn. When the universe tried to kill them, they refused to die. "Captain, they're scanning us," the navigator said, breaking the silence. "What do we do?" Deho's mind raced. If these were really humans, they could destroy his ship with a thought. The old stories said humans could be kind or cruel. Depending on how you treated them, he made a decision. Open a communication channel, broadcast on all frequencies, tell them we mean no harm. On the hidden station called Outpost Horizon, Commander Jiwoo watched the alien ship on her screen. She was a human woman in her 30s, wearing a dark blue uniform. Her black hair was tied back in a tight ponytail. Her face showed no emotion, but inside her heart was pounding. "They found us," her second officer said. "After all this time, someone finally found us." Jiwoo had trained her whole life for this moment. Every human on the hidden colonies had. They knew that someday, somehow, their secret would be discovered. The question was always, what would they do when it happened? Some officers wanted to destroy the alien ship. No witnesses, no problems. They could keep hiding for another 1,000 years. But Jiwoo looked at the scared faces on the alien bridge through her cameras. These weren't warriors or spies. They were just normal people who got lost. "No," Jiwoo said firmly. "We don't kill innocent people. That's not who we are." "But Commander, if they tell the Federation about us, then they tell them," Jiwoo interrupted. "Maybe it's time. We can't hide forever. Send Dr. Taemin to communicate with them." 20 minutes later, Deho watched in amazement as a small shuttle approached his damaged ship. It was sleek and beautiful, moving through space like a living thing. When it docked with his cargo bay, he felt his hands shaking. He was about to meet a human. A real human. The airlock opened. A human man stepped through. He was tall and slim, wearing a white coat over his uniform. His face was kind, with small wrinkles around his eyes. He raised one hand in what must be a peaceful gesture. "Greetings," the human said. He spoke in perfect galactic standard, the common language all species used for trade. "My name is Dr. Taemin. I'm a xenobiologist. That means I study other species. I promise we won't hurt you." Deho couldn't speak. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. A human right in front of him. Speaking his language? After several long seconds, he finally found his voice. You're real. Humans are real." Taemin smiled gently. "Yes, we're real. We've been here the whole time, hiding, watching, waiting. I know you have many questions. I'll try to answer them all." But first, let's fix your ship. You're leaking fuel and your crew needs medical attention. Why? Deho asked. Why would you help us? The stories say humans are dangerous and some stories are true. Some aren't, Taemin said. Yes, we can be dangerous when we need to be. But we can also be kind. You came here by accident. You didn't attack us. You asked for peace. So we'll give you peace. That's what we do. That's what we've always done, even when the galaxy forgot about us. Over the next few hours, human engineers fixed Deho's ship. It was incredible to watch. They worked so fast and so precisely. Their hands moved with a confidence that came from centuries of knowledge. When they were done, the steady horizon was running better than it had in years. Jiwoo invited Deho to the station. He walked through corridors that felt both ancient and advanced. The walls showed signs of great age, but the technology was like nothing he'd ever seen. In a large meeting room, Jiwoo waited for him. Captain Deho, she said, I know you're confused and scared. Let me explain. 10,000 years ago, humanity's homeworld was destroyed in a war. Most species think we all died, but we didn't. We escaped to hidden colonies scattered across the galaxy. We've been watching the Federation ever since, making sure we stayed forgotten. But why hide? Deho asked. With your technology, you could rule the galaxy. Jiwoo's face grew sad. That's exactly why we hide. Because we could rule, but we shouldn't. Power like ours corrupts. We've seen it happen. We lost everything once because of war and pride. We won't make that mistake again. Better to watch from the shadows and help when we can. She handed him a small data chip. This contains proof of who we are. Historical records. Technology scans. Everything the Federation needs to know that humans survived. I'm giving you a choice, Captain. You can take this back to your people and change the galaxy forever, or you can forget you ever saw us and we'll stay hidden. Deho looked at the chip in his scaled hand. He thought about his grandmother's stories. About the legendary humans who never gave up. About warriors who chose peace. About survivors who refused to become monsters. The galaxy needs to know, he said quietly. Not because I want to expose your secret, but because the stories about humans taught us to be brave, to never give up. If people know you're still alive, still choosing to do good even after losing everything, that will give them hope. Jiwoo nodded slowly. Then go, tell them. Tell them humans are real. Tell them we've been watching over them all this time. Tell them we're not their enemies. As Deho's ship prepared to leave, Bora stood next to Jiwoo on the observation deck. The young pilot looked worried. Commander, are you sure about this? Once he tells the Federation, everything changes. They might attack us? Yes, Jiwoo said. Everything changes. But maybe that's not a bad thing. We've been hiding for so long we almost forgot how to live. Maybe it's time to stop being ghosts and start being people again. The steady horizon jumped away into normal space. Deho carried the truth with him. Humans were alive. The legends were real. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. 300 representatives from different species shouted and argued. Some stood on their chairs. Others banged their appendages on their desks. Nobody could agree on anything. In the center of the massive room, Deho stood alone. He had presented his evidence an hour ago. The data chip Jiwoo gave him contained everything. Videos of humans, scans of their technology, historical records proving they survived for 10,000 years in hiding. This is impossible, shouted a representative from the Kelvin species. They looked like walking crystals, their bodies reflecting light in rainbow colors. Humans are extinct. This must be a trick. The evidence is real, said another voice. I've checked it myself. The technology signatures match the ancient records perfectly. Either humans survived or someone recreated their technology exactly. Both options are terrifying. Ambassador Kyung-soo rose from his seat. He was a Talvik, an insect-like species with a hard shell and compound eyes that saw in many directions at once. He was old and respected, known for being calm and rational. But even he looked shaken. Enough, he said, his voice cutting through the noise. Fighting solves nothing. We need answers. Captain Deho, you've been to their station. What did you see? Are they dangerous? Deho thought carefully before speaking. They helped us. Fixed our ship. Gave us food. They could have killed us easily, but they didn't. They were kind. But their technology, it's far beyond ours. If they wanted to, they could probably defeat our entire fleet. The room went silent. That was the fear everyone shared. Humans were supposed to be the most dangerous species that ever existed. If they were still alive and still that powerful, what did it mean for everyone else? We must send a delegation, Kyung-soo said. We need to meet them officially, learn their intentions, and we must do it carefully. Another figure stood up. This one was massive and covered in thick fur. Warrior Prime Heejin was a Korthan, a bear-like species known for their strength and fighting skills. Her voice was deep and powerful, I agree, but we go with ships and weapons, not to attack but to show strength. If humans respect anything, the old stories say they respect warriors. 3 days later, a Federation fleet arrived near Outpost Horizon. 20 warships surrounded the human station. On the bridge of her command ship, Jiwoo watched them come. She felt tired. She knew this would happen, but it still hurt to see. They're afraid of us, Bora said angrily. Look at all those weapons. They come here like we're enemies. They're not wrong to be afraid, Taemin said quietly. We are dangerous. Every species in that fleet knows the old stories. They know what humans can do in war. Can you blame them for being careful? Jiwoo opened a communication channel. Federation Fleet, this is Commander Jiwoo of Outpost Horizon. You are welcome here. Please send your delegation. We have much to discuss. Kyung-soo and Hyejin arrived together. When they stepped onto the station, they both felt the weight of history. 10,000 years of myths and legends, and now they were meeting the truth face to face. The meeting room was simple but elegant. Jiwoo, Taemin, and Bora sat on one side of a long table. The Federation representatives sat on the other. For a long moment, nobody spoke. They just looked at each other. You look so ordinary, Hyejin finally said. The stories made humans sound like monsters or gods. But you look normal. Almost fragile. Jiwoo smiled slightly. We're just people. We eat, sleep, laugh, and cry like everyone else. We're not special. But your technology is special, Kyung-soo said. Your ships, your weapons, your ability to hide for so long. How did you do it? Taemin leaned forward. When our homeworld was destroyed, the survivors scattered. We built hidden colonies in places nobody would look. Asteroid fields. Dead zones. Places most species thought were too dangerous or worthless. We watched the galaxy through sensors and spies. We learned from your mistakes and your successes. Spies. Kyung-soo's voice grew sharp. You've been spying on us for 10,000 years? Watching, Jiwoo corrected. Not interfering. Well, not usually. We've stopped 3 major wars from starting. We've shared technology anonymously to help fight diseases. We've protected trade routes from pirates. We've been guardians, not conquerors. You had no right, Kyung-soo said coldly. No right to hide. No right to manipulate us. No right to play gods with our civilization. Bora stood up suddenly. We saved millions of lives. While you politicians argued and wasted time, we acted. You should be thanking us, not accusing us. Bora, sit down, Jiwoo said firmly. The young pilot hesitated, then obeyed. Jiwoo turned back to Kyung-soo. She's right that we helped. But you're also right that we had no authority. We left the Federation 10,000 years ago. We have no claim on you, but we couldn't just watch people suffer when we could help. Heejin had been quiet, watching everything carefully. Now she spoke. I want to see what you can do. Not with words. With action. I challenge your warrior to combat. Not to the death. Just to test skill. Bora's eyes lit up. I accept. Jiwoo wanted to refuse, but she saw the wisdom in it. Sometimes warriors needed to speak in the language they understood best. Very well. Training Room 3. In 1 hour. The training room was large and padded. Heejin stood at one end, rolling her massive shoulders. She was twice Bora's size and probably 10 times stronger. Bora looked tiny in comparison, but she wasn't afraid. Rules are simple, Jiwoo announced. No weapons. No killing blows. First one to yield loses. Understood? Both warriors nodded. Then they began. Heejin charged forward like a mountain coming to life. Her fist could crush stone. But Bora wasn't there when it landed. She had rolled aside, moving with grace and speed. She struck back at Hyejin's knee, but the Korthan's thick fur absorbed most of the impact. They fought for 10 minutes. Heejin had power and reach. Bora had speed and strategy. Every time Heejin tried to grab her, Bora slipped away. Every time Bora tried to strike, Heejin's natural armor protected her. Finally, Bora saw an opening. She ducked under a punch, grabbed Hyejin's arm, and used the larger warrior's own momentum to throw her. It was a perfect move. Heejin crashed to the ground, and Bora was on top of her in seconds, pressing a pressure point on her neck. Yield? Bora asked, breathing hard. Heejin laughed. It was a deep, genuine sound.
I yield.
You fight well, little human. You used my strength against me. Smart. They both stood up. Hee-jin offered her massive paw and Bora shook it. In that moment, they understood each other in a way words never could achieve. Back in the meeting room, the mood had changed slightly. Kyung-soo still looked suspicious, but there was a hint of respect in his compound eyes. The council wants you to rejoin the Federation, he said. Under our laws. Our authority? No, Ji-woo said simply. We left the Federation by choice. If we come back, it will be as equals, not subjects. We're willing to be allies, partners, friends even, but we won't submit to anyone's rule. That's not acceptable, Kyung-soo began, but a sudden alarm interrupted him. Red lights flashed throughout the station. A distress signal was coming through on the emergency channel. Taemin activated the message. A desperate voice filled the room. This is Outpost Meridian. We're under attack by the Krell swarm. Shields failing. Casualties mounting. Please anyone help us, the Krell swarm, everyone knew that name. They were a species of insect-like creatures that attacked colonies and stripped them of all resources. They had terrorized the galaxy for decades. Nobody had ever beaten them in open combat. Kyung-soo looked at Ji-woo. Your fleet is too far away to help in time. But you're close. If humans really want to prove they're peaceful and helpful, now is your chance. It was a challenge and a test. Ji-woo knew it. Everyone in the room knew it. If she refused, it would prove that humans only cared about themselves. If she helped, she would have to reveal their true military power. Ji-woo stood up. Bora, prep the combat wings. Full deployment. Daemin, coordinate with their medical teams. We're going to save those people. She looked at Kyung-soo and Hye-jin. You wanted to see what humans can do. You're about to find out. 3 human warships emerged from the darkness of space. They were enormous, each one bigger than any ship in the Federation fleet. Their hulls were black and smooth, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. They moved with impossible grace, like sharks gliding through water. On the bridge of her flagship, Hye-jin watched them through the view screen. Her mouth hung open. Every sensor was going crazy trying to analyze the human ships. The readings made no sense. The shields were stronger than anything known. The weapons used principles that Federation scientists thought were impossible. By the old gods, she whispered. The stories were true, all of them. Kyung-soo sat beside her, his compound eyes fixed on the display. He felt fear, like he'd never known. These weren't just advanced ships. They were centuries beyond Federation technology, maybe more. If humans wanted to conquer the galaxy, nobody could stop them. Bora piloted the lead ship. Her hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. Behind her sat 20 other human soldiers, all wearing sleek combat armor. They were heading to Outpost Meridian, where thousands of innocent people were about to die. Status report, she said calmly. Krell forces number approximately 200 ships, her tactical officer replied. They're surrounding the outpost. Shields are at 30% and dropping. Estimate total failure in 15 minutes. Then we have 14 minutes to work with, Bora said. All ships engage quantum drives, attack pattern Delta 7. Show them what happens when you threaten innocence. The 3 human ships suddenly accelerated. They moved so fast they seemed to teleport across space. One moment they were far away. The next moment they were in the middle of the Krell swarm. The Krell were insect-like creatures, each about the size of a human child. But they had ships that could tear through steel with acid sprays and plasma cutters. They attacked in huge numbers, overwhelming enemies with sheer force. They had destroyed dozens of colonies. No military force had ever stopped them, until now. The human ships opened fire. Blue beams of light cut through the darkness. Each shot was precise, surgical. Krell ships exploded in brilliant flashes. The aliens tried to surround the humans, but it was like trying to catch lightning. The human vessels dodged and weaved, always moving, never staying still long enough to be hit. Impossible, Hye-jin muttered, as she watched. Nothing moves like that. The forces alone should crush the crew inside. Artificial gravity compensation, Kyung-soo said, reading the sensor data. They've solved the momentum problem. Their crews feel nothing no matter how hard the ship turns. It's brilliant and terrifying. Bora brought her ship close to the outpost. The shields were failing fast. Krell boarding parties were trying to cut through the hull. She opened a communication channel. "Outpost Meridian, this is Lieutenant Bora. Hold on. We're coming to get you." She looked at her team. 20 warriors in powered armor. Each one had trained for years, each one knew the mission. "Get in, save everyone they could, get out." "Remember," she said, "we're not here to fight. We're here to rescue. Every civilian saved is a victory. Every life lost is a failure. Move fast, move smart, and may luck be with us all." The ship docked with the outpost. The doors blasted open. Bora and her team rushed inside. The corridors were filled with smoke and the sounds of screaming. Krell soldiers were everywhere, their mandibles clicking as they hunted for victims. Bora's team moved like a single organism. They formed protective barriers around civilians and guided them to the ship. When Krell attacked, the humans fought with brutal efficiency. Their weapons fired silent pulses that dropped the insects instantly. Their armor absorbed hits that would kill unprotected beings. "Deck 3 clear," one soldier reported. 30 civilians secured. "Deck 5 clear," another said. "Medical bay evacuated. Wounded are stable." Bora found a group of children huddled in a storage room. They were terrified, crying for their parents. She knelt down and removed her helmet. Her face was kind, her voice gentle. "Hey," she said softly. "I'm Bora. I'm here to help. Are you hurt?" The children stared at her. One of them, a small Vrelny girl, whispered, "Are you a human, like in the stories?" "Yes," Bora said. "And I promise I won't let anything happen to you. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe." Outside the outpost, the battle continued. The two other human ships carved through the Krell fleet like fire through paper. Every shot counted. Every maneuver was perfect. It wasn't just superior technology. It was superior training, superior tactics, superior everything. The Krell realized they were losing. They tried to retreat, but the humans didn't let them. Jiwoo's voice came over the communication channel, broadcast to every Krell ship. "Attention, Krell forces. This is Commander Jiwoo of humanity. For too long you have terrorized innocent people. You have destroyed homes and killed without mercy. That ends today. Leave now and never return to Federation space, or face complete destruction. Choose quickly." There was a moment of silence. Then the Krell ships turned and fled. They jumped, away into deep space, running faster than they had ever run before. In less than an hour, the most feared threat in the galaxy had been defeated completely. Bora's team evacuated the last civilians. She did a final sweep of the outpost, making sure nobody was left behind. In a damaged corridor, she found an old Talvek man trapped under debris. He was hurt badly. "Please," he gasped. "Leave me. Save the others." "Nobody gets left behind," Bora said firmly. She lifted the heavy debris with her powered armor and gently picked up the old man. "That's not how we do things." Taemin was already on the outpost, setting up a temporary medical station. He worked alongside Federation doctors, showing them human medical techniques. The injured were treated with care and precision. Human technology saved dozens who would have died from their wounds. "You're nanobots," a Federation doctor said in wonder. "They're repairing damaged tissue at the cellular level. This is incredible." "We'll share the technology," Taemin said. "If you want it. No strings attached. Just help people." On Hyojin's flagship, the bridge crew watched everything in stunned silence. They had seen humans in action now. The terrifying military power, the perfect coordination, the advanced weapons. But they also saw something else. Something the old stories never mentioned. Mercy. Humans could have destroyed the Krell completely. They had the power. But they gave them a chance to run. They focused on saving lives, not taking them. Even in the middle of combat, they went back for one old man who thought he was worthless. "I understand now," Hyojin said quietly. "Why they're legends. It's not because they're the strongest, it's because they choose to be kind even when they could choose to be cruel." Kyung-soo nodded slowly. For the first time since meeting humans, he felt hope instead of fear. Maybe we were wrong about them. Maybe having them back isn't a threat. Maybe it's a gift. Later, everyone gathered on the damaged outpost. Humans and aliens stood together. Bora helped carry supplies. Taemin taught medical techniques. Ji-woo coordinated repairs. They worked side by side as equals. The little Vrelny girl that Bora rescued ran up to her and hugged her leg. "Thank you," she said. "You saved us, just like in the stories." Bora smiled and picked her up. "The stories were only half right. We're not heroes or monsters. We're just people who try to help. That's all." As the repairs continued, Ji-woo received a coded message on her private channel. She read it and felt her blood turn cold. It was written in ancient Korean, a language nobody outside human colonies should know. The message was simple and terrible. "You should have stayed hidden. Now we must act. We are coming." Ji-woo closed her eyes. She had feared this moment. There was something she hadn't told the Federation, something dark and dangerous, a secret that made everything else look simple. Humans weren't the only ones who survived the old war. Something else survived too, something worse. The emergency meeting was held in the largest conference room on Outpost Horizon. Ji-woo stood at the head of the table, her face grim. Around her sat Taemin, Bora, Kyung-soo, Hye-jin, and several other Federation representatives. The mood was heavy with tension. "I need to tell you something," Ji-woo began. "Something we've kept secret for 10,000 years. Something that makes everything else we've discussed seem small." She activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing another group of human colonies. But these colonies looked different, darker, more militarized. The technology was even more advanced than what Outpost Horizon possessed. When Earth was destroyed, Ji-woo continued, humanity split into two groups. My ancestors wanted peace. They wanted to hide and heal. But the other group wanted something else. They wanted revenge. They wanted to dominate. They called themselves the Directorate. Kyung-soo stood up angrily. "You mean there are more humans?" "Dangerous humans. And you never told us?" "We've been fighting them in secret for 10 millennia, Taemin said quietly, stopping their plans, preventing them from emerging. We thought we could contain them forever. We were wrong." The room erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted accusations. Some demanded answers. Others wanted to leave immediately. Ji-woo let them vent for a minute, then spoke again, her voice cutting through the noise. "The Directorate believes humans should rule the galaxy. They think other species are inferior. For 10,000 years we've kept them contained in the dark reaches of space. But by revealing ourselves to you, we upset the balance. Now they know we can't hide anymore, and they're coming." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed. A tactical officer burst into the room, his face pale. "Commander, we're receiving reports. 3 Federation core worlds are under simultaneous attack. The attackers are using technology we've never seen. They're broadcasting a message. They say they're human." Ji-woo closed her eyes. It was happening. The nightmare she'd feared her entire life. "Show me," she said. The holographic display changed to show live feeds from the 3 worlds. Ships that looked like twisted versions of Ji-woo's vessels tore through Federation defenses. They were brutally efficient, destroying military targets with cold precision. But they didn't stop there. They also attacked civilian areas, broadcasting threats and demands. A figure appeared on the screen. He looked human, but something was wrong about him. His skin had a metallic sheen. His eyes glowed with an unnatural light. When he spoke, his voice echoed strangely, as if multiple people were talking at once. "I am Director Wan-shik," he said, "leader of humanity's true descendants. For too long we have hidden while lesser species squabbled over our galaxy. No more. We claim what is rightfully ours. Submit to human rule or be destroyed. You have 1 week to decide." The transmission ended. Silence filled the room. Everyone looked at Ji-woo with a mixture of fear and accusation. Even Hye-jin, who had come to respect humans, looked uncertain. "You did this," Kyung-soo said coldly. "By coming out of hiding, you woke them up. How many will die because of your choice?" Ji-woo met his gaze steadily. "You're right. This is my fault. But hiding wasn't going to work forever. They would have found a way eventually. At least now we can fight them together." "Fight them with what?" another representative demanded. "You saw their technology. It's even better than yours. Because they've been preparing for war," Taemin explained. "While we focused on staying hidden and helping people, they focused on weapons. They merged with machines, making themselves stronger but losing their humanity in the process." Bora slammed her fist on the table. "So what do we do?" Give up, let them win? No, we fight. We show them that being human isn't about power. It's about choosing to do what's right. Heejin nodded slowly. The young warrior speaks truth. Running solves nothing. We must face this threat together. I will commit my forces to a joint fleet. Other representatives began to agree. Despite their fear and anger, they understood they had no choice. The Directorate wouldn't stop with 3 worlds. They would keep attacking until everything submitted or died. We need intelligence, Jiwoo said. We need to know where their bases are, what they're planning, how many ships they have. I'll go. Bora volunteered immediately. I can infiltrate one of their bases. Get the information we need. It's too dangerous, Jiwoo said. If they catch you, then they catch me. Bora interrupted. But we need this information. Someone has to take the risk. Let me do it, Heejin stood up. I will go with her. 2 warriors are better than 1. And if things go wrong, we can fight our way out together. Jiwoo looked at both of them. She wanted to refuse, but she knew they were right. They needed information, and these 2 were the best choice. Finally, she nodded. Fine, but you take a full team, and you stay in constant communication. At the first sign of trouble, you retreat. Understood? Bora and Hyejin prepared for their mission. They took a small stealth ship and a team of elite soldiers from both human and Federation forces. The target was a Directorate outpost on a dead moon at the edge of known space. The journey took 2 days. During that time, Bora and Hyejin talked. They shared stories of their training, their beliefs, their fears. Despite coming from different species, they found they had much in common. Both valued honor. Both believed in protecting the weak. Both would die before betraying their principles. Your people and mine could learn from each other, Hyejin said one night. Humans have technology and cleverness. Korthan have strength and tradition. Together we could be unstoppable. That's what Jiwoo wants, Bora replied. Not to rule anyone. Just to stand together as equals. To learn from each other. To make the galaxy better. They reached the Directorate outpost. It was a massive fortress built into the moon's surface. Guards patrolled everywhere. Sensors swept constantly for intruders. But Bora's team was trained for this. They slipped past the defenses like ghosts. Inside, they found horrors. Prison cells holding alien captives. Laboratories conducting cruel experiments. Manufacturing facilities building terrible weapons. The Directorate wasn't just planning conquest. They were planning genocide. We need to document everything, Bora whispered. The Federation needs to see this, to understand what we're fighting. They copied files and recorded video evidence. What they found was worse than anyone imagined. The Directorate had built a weapon they called the System Killer. It could destroy all life in an entire star system in minutes, and they planned to use it on the Federation capital world as a demonstration. We have to get this information back, Heejin said urgently, before they use that weapon. But as they tried to leave, alarms sounded. They had been discovered. Directorate soldiers surrounded them from all sides. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were cyborg warriors, part machine and part human, faster and stronger than anything natural. Run, Bora shouted. Get the data out. They fought desperately. Bora and Hyejin stood back to back, covering each other as their team tried to escape. But there were too many enemies. One by one, their soldiers fell. Finally, only Bora and Hyejin remained, exhausted and surrounded. Director Wonshik himself appeared. He looked at them with cold, emotionless eyes. So Jiwoo sent spies. How predictable. You will tell me everything about her defenses, or you will suffer greatly before you die. Bora spat at his feet. We'll tell you nothing. Wonshik smiled. It was a terrible smile, completely without warmth. We shall see. Take them to the interrogation chamber and prepare a broadcast. Let the Federation watch as we break their heroes. On Outpost Horizon, Jiwoo watched helplessly as the transmission began. Wonshik had Bora and Hyejin chained in front of cameras. He gave his ultimatum. All human colonies must surrender to him within 48 hours. If they refused, he would execute the prisoners and destroy the Federation capital world. Jiwoo felt rage and despair war within her. She wanted to save Bora, but if she surrendered, millions would die under Directorate rule. There had to be another way. There had to be. Then an idea came to her. A dangerous, desperate idea, but it might be the only chance they had. Open a channel to Wonshik, she said. I have a counteroffer.